your host, Eric Lopez, your UCF and Magic Insider, joined alongside a happy group today of Andrew Melnick, your Magic locked-out
and dancing insider.
Dancing Turkish League Insider. Andrew, welcome.
I don't know about Turkish League Insider, but I did tell Carson that I would dance when the show started because we were having a headphone problem over there, and so now he knows we're on the air.
And, of course, the man he's speaking to is the other UCF insider, Carson Ingle, going in his Get in Godfrey Do We Trust shirt.
I do trust in Godfrey. Hopefully he will lead me through this headphoneless program for me, and I'll be able to, pick up what's actually going on the show. So if not, it should be funny anyways. So.
It should be funny. By the way, you're not a freshman or sophomore at UCF, right?
No, so I can talk.
Yes.
All
right, good. Because as you know, Andrew, in the UCF, there's a policy: no freshmen or sophomores are allowed to talk to the media.
I guess that's not a terrible policy.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah,
it's awful.
So we got a big show here, boys. We got a big show. MLB Trade Deadline is today. We're gonna have Jason Collette on from somewhere unknown.
Where is he?
He's in like his trade war room headquarters somewhere, undisclosed.
Is he there with like Peter Gammons and?
I think so. That's where they all hang out. They got their little cell phones going.
Yeah.
Of course, we have NFL to talk about. A lot of moves. That's why Melnick's really dancing, because the Patriots are making move after move. We'll talk about that. A little college football. We got a big interview, Carson, don't we, today?
Yes, the veteran voice of the UFC Octagon, Bruce Buffer. So that's fun.
That'll be
He's a funny guy.
That'll be around the 10:30 hour. Of course, this show is very historic because it marks the debut of our newest addition, the Phenom producer, Buckman.
Lopez, you're setting me up here, big time.
Big time. Well, we'll get to know you more later on the show, but we have a lot to get to. Do we have Jason on the air? All right, Jason Collette is joining us from places unknown. Jason, welcome.
Welcome. Hey, I hear Carson's wearing his in Godfrey We Trust shirt. I am actually in the throwback Kirk Jerks shirt today.
The throwback Kirk's Jerks Jason Collette is wearing, Carson. He wanted to let you know. Well, let's get to it. Trade deadline today, and Andrew Melnick has breaking news on that.
Yeah, Jason, you want to fill us in on this move the Braves just made?
Yeah, the Braves just sent a bunch of quantity to the Astros for Michael Bourne. Details just broke about 2 minutes ago. The Braves are sending a handful of prospects. This is really a quantity for quality deal when you go to look at it. It's prospect Jordan Schaefer is the only name anybody's going to recognize in this mess. But a couple of pitchers, Oberholzer, Juan Abreu's a reliever, and Paul Clemens. So they got 3 pitchers and Jordan Schaefer to go play center field for the Astros. To kind of frame this out, the Astros system is a mess. They need depth. So they have to do these kind of quantity for quality trades. This 2012 Astros, you just go ahead and pencil them in for the top draft pick of the 2013 draft, because the 2012 Astros are going to be ridiculously bad.
Yeah, the 2011 Astros are pretty bad as well. We saw them trade Michael Bourne today. Just a couple days ago, yesterday, the day before, they traded Hunter Pence to the Phillies. Phillies clearly needed another bat to go with all that pitching. Can you talk about that move a little bit?
Yeah, I like that move a lot better. As I've said in past programs, I grew up in Houston, so the Astros are the other team that I pull for. It pains me to see them go through these kind of growing pains year after year. But that deal I like a lot better because that deal has the potential to have quality in it as well. I mean, the 2 big bats in that, the 2 big names in that trade, Jonathan Singleton, who was a first base / left field prospect, he was playing in Clearwater, and Jared Kozert is a right-handed pitcher. Kozert was in the Futures game, so if you got to see that game, you saw him pitch mid-90s, a really live arm. Singleton's got a lot of power potential. If both of these guys hit their ceilings, this is a fantastic trade for Houston. However, this is a high-risk, high-upside thing because right now in high A, Singleton wasn't doing that great. Kozart, despite his live arm, was only striking out about 6 guys per 9 innings, so there is still room for growth here. If these guys do grow, fantastic trade. If they don't, not a great trade.
Let's talk about the big trade, other big trade. Yesterday we have Ubaldo Jimenez going to Cleveland. Cleveland gives up arguably maybe the 2nd or 3rd best pitching prospect in baseball in Pomerantz. They give up Alex White. Did Cleveland give up too much for Ubaldo Jimenez, in your opinion?
Yes, and yes. I could not believe the haul. I mean, I got a text that said, "Hey, Ubaldo's traded to Cleveland." I'm up just in St. Augustine for the week, so I've been really out of pocket. And then I get the details this morning. I'm like, wow. I mean, that's a big. I mean, Pomeranz was a top 15 prospect for in baseball. That's how good of a guy this is. This was a very high draft pick, a fifth-round pick last year in last year's draft. Very live arm. And then Alex White himself, very good prospect as well. So I mean, right there alone, if Pomeranz hits his potential, just Pomeranz for Ubaldo Jimenez is going to look bad. If you look at Cleveland's odds, right now, their playoff chances, if you go to coolstandings.com, they were sitting at 26% to make the playoffs. So adding Jimenez is not going to give that much of a jump because right now the Tigers have a 50% chance just to win their own division. So, you know, that's a heavy price. I'm surprised they did that. It's a heavy price. The good news is they can control. This is the deal that's going to benefit them for the next few years because Jimenez's contract is not that prohibitive, so they can go ahead and hold him. So if they don't win it this year, they still have the pieces in place so they can make a push for the next couple of years as well.
Talking to Jason Collette, our MLB and Rays insider. Jason, what is the latest on the Rays front? Is B.J. Upton going to go somewhere today? Is someone else maybe going to move there in Tampa Bay?
I don't think B.J. Upton's going to go anywhere because the leverage is gone. I mean, really the only team left would be the Nationals, and Nationals also have been looking at Bernard Span from Minnesota. So when you look at Friedman's trade history, he doesn't like trading from positional weakness. And now that all the leverage has been removed because the Braves have made their deal for Michael Bourne, there really isn't any other logical place for Upton to go. So I think they're going to hold him for the rest of the season and use the offseason because the free agent market this coming offseason is not that strong. So that puts him back in a position of strength. The only weakness there is that whoever trades for him is only bidding him for 2012. If they had done it now, you get him for this playoff push and potentially next year as well. I think that Kyle Farnsworth is still going to be on the market because the relief market is hot and heavy right now. Heath Bell, there's some rumors that the Yankees are in on him. The Rangers are still trying to get him. The Rangers are still looking at Mike Adams. So there's a lot of relievers in play. So if the demand's there and the price is right, Farnsworth could be moved today. And the Rays still have that six-man rotation thing going on because Alex Cobb is up, pitching well. Jeff Neiman is pitching extremely well. If the Rays move a starting pitcher today, I think it will be Neiman. Since coming off the disabled list, he's had 6 starts, 5 dominating starts. His last one against Seattle on Thursday night or Friday night really shouldn't count. I mean, it's Seattle; they're bad. But 1 hit, 11 strikeouts over 8 innings, just a dominating performance. And he's been that good against the Yankees, the Cardinals, the Brewers, and the Red Sox in the second half as well. So that if the demand's there, he can be moved as well.
Jason, it looks like a lot of people expect the busiest man today to be Jed Hoyer and in the Padres general manager over there. You got Heath Bell, Ryan Ludwig, Chad Qualls, Aaron Rang, Mike Adams. How many of these guys are going to go?
They should sell them all. I mean, these are guys, especially Qualls, he's pitched very well. This is a guy that the Rays actually acquired last year at the trade deadline. Didn't do too well, but he's had a very good year. Not a lot of strikeouts, but he's a guy that keeps the ball on the ground. And when you start looking at, situational plays to get into the postseason, having a guy that is a huge double play generator has value. You need to move him. You got to move Ludwig. There's a lot of demand for a right-handed bat, whether it be Boston, whether it be New York trying to solidify a DH situation and stuff. You got to move these kind of guys. Harang, he's benefited from pitching in Petco, getting him out of Petco. That's where everybody has concern. But with Hoyer, if he can move these guys, get some prospect depth coming in, they've got some nice bats and a couple of good arms and stuff just to add to that situation. Because the whole financial situation of the sale of that team really hamstrung their farm development over the past, so they need to kind of add to that picture and just continue reloading. I mean, Jed Hoyer is a very, very good GM. They're in much better hands than they have been in the past, and we'll see what happens. But I expect the Padres to make at least 3 moves today.
You mentioned the Yankees. I mean, they kind of were hoping to get a starting pitcher. Do you still think are they kind of in trouble there? Is there any starting pitching left to get, or are the Yankees kind of left on the outside looking in?
Honestly, I said this the other day when I was talking on Tyler's show. This needs to be something. The Yankees have 2 really good prospects in AAA right now. They've got Manny Benuelos and they've got Dylan Betances. Betances and Benuelos are both top 50 prospects right now. Betances is a top 20 guy. I hate the Yankees. I'm going to say this right up front. I hate them. But I'd say as a baseball guy, it would make 0 sense for them to trade those 2 guys to get a pitcher. And those were the guys that were rumored to be in this Jimenez trade. And if you look at what Cleveland gave up, with White and Pomeranz, their 2 best guys, it's easy to see that the Rockies were telling the Yankees, hey, that's what you have to give up to get Jimenez, and they balked at it. To me, I would just call up one of those guys, if not both of those guys. The Yankees have the offense to offset a struggling rookie pitcher down the stretch. They can hit the ball with anybody. So if any team can afford to have a rookie guy to do it, that's the team that can do it. I would rather see them do that than try to overpay to get somebody to come in. I mean, a couple of weeks ago it was rumored that they actually called the Rays about James Shields, and I think Andrew Freeman laughed and hung up the phone. You don't trade within your division. That's one of the things. I mean, the Rays have the depth to trade starting pitching, but there's no way they're going to trade that within their division.
As we head into the last few hours of this trade deadline, give me your winners and losers so far this week with all the trades that's happened.
Well, love Philly. I mean, getting Hunter Pence was something they had to get. They had to get that right-handed bat and that kind of run production. They've had struggled. I mean, their pitching has carried them. They need to kind of have that. So I like that for them. I don't like what Cleveland did here. I really don't like what Detroit did. And the short term, Detroit yesterday traded for Doug Fister and David Pauly from Seattle, but they also paid a hefty price. I mean, in the short term, it works, but in the long term, it really cuts the depth. I mean, you guys follow the Marlins. You know what kind of moves Dave Dombrowski made in the past. Win now, worry about it later. Well, he's done that a couple of times now with Detroit. Detroit's farm system really thin, and they've got a lot thinner with the trade yesterday. I know people will look at, some people will look at Doug Fister being 3-12 and say, why are the Tigers trading for a pitcher that's 3-12? Well, Doug Fister has had the worst run support in all of baseball. He's been getting 2 runs a game. So his ERA is 3.23, and he's 3-12 because the Mariners give him 2 runs of support every time he goes out. Doug Fister is a good pitcher. He is going to make a difference down the stretch in the AL Central for them. So I heard a lot of Tiger fans freaking out. Oh, God, we traded for a pitcher that's 9 games below 500. You've got to throw away the stats. Look at everything else. Doug Fister was a good addition for the now. In the later, I don't like it at all.
All right, Jason. Well, actually, I got to ask you this because Carson's in here, and this trade was deep in his heart. He was very upset about this.
I knew this would come up at some point.
Kobe Rasmus to Toronto. The Cardinals get Edwin Jackson in that deal. They get Racinski, the reliever. Your thought? Break that trade down for Carson because Carson wanted he wanted to just shoot Tony La Russa. Does he have a gripe?
Yes, he absolutely does.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
He absolutely does. This is one of the things where. Tony La Russa and Colby Rasmus's father and Colby Rasmus have been butting heads for at least a year and a half, at least. And La Russa did an interview the other day where he told the reporter, yes, Rasmus is listening to somebody, but he's not listening to us. And then the trade happened less than 24 hours later. To me, I thought it was a very good deal for the Blue Jays. Alex Anthopoulos, the way I describe this guy, he is Andrew Friedman with money. The Blue Jays have the resources. Anthopoulos continually gets these kind of things done. This is the same guy who traded Vernon Wells and his $81 million contract and got a team to take it. Take the contract, all but $5 million of it. And then he got worked it out, got Mike Napoli, traded Mike Napoli away to get Frank Francisco. But just to move that, and then he gets Colby Rasmus, who's under control for 3 more years, and he gave up nothing. He gave up a reliever who was going to lead the team. He gave up, Zepsinski, a very good left-handed reliever, but again, these are relievers. These are replaceable parts. He gave up nothing of the future to get a guy that he can control for the next 3 years who fits very well in Rogerstown. I mean, Rasmus has the potential to hit 30 home runs in the AL East next year.
Wow.
All right, Jason, we're going to let you get back to the family. I know Andrew was going to ask you all these Red Sox particulars. Rich Harden trade broke through, no big surprise. I know he's devastated by that, but give me your last. Give me a prediction, a bold prediction today. Give me a surprise trade that no one see coming. You see anything, or is it going to be a boring day?
I think it's going to be a pretty boring day outside of San Diego. Keep your eyes on them. They're going to make some moves there because Heath Bell is the big prize that's left on the market, and Mike Adams, his setup man, a very good guy as well. Those are your 2 big tokens. So keep your eye on the West Coast. You understand it's a 4 p.m. deadline today. San Diego's in that time zone. So, they're going to be very busy up this morning and whatnot. The Rich Harden trade falling through, I think that's a very good thing for Boston because Rich Harden, I kind of laughed that the deal fell through because of medicals because, you have to be dead to not know that Rich Harden is a disaster medically right now. But one of the things with Rich Harden, he would have been, think about it, the guy's been broken down more than my car was in college. So Rich Harden I think he would be a fantastic addition to a bullpen. If you go back and look at Rich Harden's performances, his numbers, through the first 40 pitchers, I will put him up against any reliever in baseball. He is phenomenal. After that, he wears down because he's basically a two-pitch guy. He's a fastball and a split-finger guy. That delivery is a medical nightmare. You look at it and say, kids, don't pitch like this guy. He looks awful. But I think he would be a good bullpen addition. I think somebody may acquire him today. If you're acquiring him as a starting pitcher and hoping he's going to stay healthy for the rest of the season, you're making a big mistake. And I think that works out for Boston. That trade did not happen. But again, all eyes should be on San Diego today. I think that's where the remaining action is because other things are dried up. If the Rays, again, if they move anybody, it's going to be Kyle Farnsworth. Look down in South Florida. Maybe Omar Infante gets moved. Maybe Leo Nunez gets moved in a smaller deal, those kind of things. But I think for the most part, the big names of this trade deadline are done.
All right, Jason. That's Jason Collette, our MLB and Rays insider. Enjoy your vacation with the family. We look forward to seeing you next week. Big UCF football preview next Sunday, my friend. Bring your black and gold.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys in the studio next week. Thanks.
All right, that's Jason Collette. Little vacation in St. Augustine.
That's our guy, man.
Huh?
That's our guy right there.
Huh? Breaking it down. Omar Infante going on trade. All right, we're going to take a break. And as Andrew relaxes, he's excited.
Goofy Melnick today.
Goofy Melnick. I would be
It's like
too.
Bizarro Melnick.
Well, he's trying to blend in like, Chad Ochocinco. That's his role in the show now. He's the Chad Ochocinco. When we come back, we're going to talk a little National Football League. The Patriots, the Jets making moves. The Eagles calling themselves the Dream Team. It's football talk. That's what's the best thing about it. You're listening to ESPN 1080, the Teams.com's insider show here on the Team.
This is where great moments happen.
And Bradshaw's back and looking again. Bradshaw running out of the pocket, looking for somebody to throw to, fires it downfield, and there's a collision. It's cut out of the air. The ball is pulled in by Franco Harris. Harris is going for a touchdown for Pittsburgh. Harris is going. 5 seconds left on the clock. Franco Harris pulled in the football. I don't even know where it came from.
ESPN 1080, the Team.
Find your magic at Macy's Home Sale, where you'll find hundreds of items for your home on sale now. Vail Collection pillows and comforters by Charter Club, 60% off. Closeout Analon 10-piece cookware sets, $199.99. Save 50% on Samsonite, Delsey, Travel Pro, and Ricardo luggage. And 40% on all Charter Club Demas sheet sets. Plus, get an extra 15% off with your WOW Savings Pass or Macy's Star Rewards card. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply. See store for details.
Imagine all the possibilities for your next painting project. Now imagine saving up to 30% too. From August 28th through September 1st, save at your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams paint store. Save up to 30% on exceptional Sherwin-Williams paints, stains, wall coverings, and more. But don't wait. Hurry in and save. Only at Sherwin-Williams. For painting, decorating, and great savings. For a store near you, visit SherwinWilliams.com. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
If you play golf, we hope you're planning to play in the fourth of our 4 two-person golf scrambles this year at beautiful Shingle Creek Golf Club. The 2011 ESPN 1080 The Team Shingle Creek Major 4. Monday, August 15th, a handicapped event for the coveted Rosen Cup. The $69 entry fee includes range balls, golf, on-course drinks, lunch, and a chance to win some great prizes. Monday, August 15th, 8:30 shotgun start. Get details online at ESPN1080.com.
Want to get away but don't have a lot of time and don't want to spend a lot of money? You can't beat our staycation packages. Some of the best hotels and resorts in Florida at half price. Half price. This radio station has secured these incredible half price deals at some of the most desirable locations, from the beaches to the Orlando theme parks. Now you can afford that getaway you want and need. Getaway! Book your half price staycation. Log on to ESPN1080.com. ESPN1080.com.
It's the Leaderboard, Mondays 6 to 8 on ESPN 1080 WHOO. This is where the pros come to talk.
Hi, this is Boo Weekly. Hi, this is Jim Furyk.
Hi, this is Rocco Mediate.
Hi, this is Trevor Immelman.
Hi, this is Zach Johnson.
Hi, this is Woody Austin.
Where the pros come to talk about their game. Live from Celebration Town Tavern.
Hi, this is Corey Pavin, the 2010 Ryder Cup captain. Listen to the Leaderboard, Monday evenings, 6 to 8 p.m., right here on ESPN.
Presented by Carl Black Chevrolet Buick GMC.
And we welcome you back to ESPN1080.com Insider Show here on ESPN 1080 The Team. Eric Lopez, your UCF Insider, alongside Andrew Melnick, your locked-out NBA Insider. Carson Ingle not locked out, allowed to talk UCF Insider.
Yeah, that's an accomplishment.
Indeed.
You know, around there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's good.
Jason Collette, our MLB Trades Insider, joined us in the last segment as we broke down the MLB Trade Deadline, and our fine new producer breaking down this music, Carson. Buckman, what do you think about Buckman's music?
I can't hear the music, so I don't know what to say about it.
Oh, yes, we're headset short, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, you should ask me. Good choice.
You gotta love the technology. All right, boys, let's talk a little NFL. It's back. The lockout was lifted this week. We got 1 million of signings. We're not gonna break them all down. Give me your thoughts, guys, on this week in the NFL. What signings jumped out to you guys?
Well, I think you got to start and end with Nnamdi Asomugha signing with the Eagles. I mean, everyone thought going to the Jets, we're looking maybe Dallas getting in there in the mix, and Philadelphia jumps in, gets in. They just acquired Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. Still have Asante Samuel. Don't know what they're going to do with him. They had a terrible pass defense last year. Was their biggest weakness. The main reason they didn't advance in the playoffs, and boom, just like that, they seemingly fixed it.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, and I'm glad that you didn't take the Homer route to start the segment. I will fill in for you, and for me, what the New England Patriots did, I thought was sheer genius. You pick up a couple guys, you really don't give up that much for them, and these are two guys that are going to fit right in Albert Hainsworth and Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco, whatever you want to call him. They're going to fit right into that Foxborough machine and do what those reclamation projects of the past have done for the Patriots, and I think both guys are going to be extremely productive players there in New England.
Yeah, kind of funny. Pretty clear that while the whole league is seemingly going to the 3-4, New England's switching back to the 4-3.
Right.
I think cutting Ty Warren and signing or trading for Albert Hainsworth points that out.
Well, they're always on the cutting edge, so Belichick must know what's up.
Absolutely. Now, for those that don't know, by the way, Andrew Melnick is a diehard New England Patriots fan.
There's the hat.
That's why he's goofy today, Carson. That's why he's all goofy.
Yes, he's got Super Bowl bliss.
Now, Carson Ingle is a Bucs fan. He goes to every home game. Yours truly is a Miami Dolphin fan.
We decided to give money to a punter this week. So
Did you really?
Yeah, we just unloaded the salary cap on Michael Kanan. So
that'll be huge for all those fantasy leagues that have punters.
Yeah, that's extremely exciting for me.
Well, as we know, Tampa had to unload a bunch of money on someone because they're so far under the salary floor.
But you would have liked them to maybe unload that money on
Nnamdi Asomugha.
Yeah, that would be nice. Any Jonathan Joseph, really any sort of cornerback, because we don't know what's going to happen with Aqib Talib, and even with Talib in for Tampa, they still need another guy there. Rondy Barber's not getting any younger. They've got some guys in Myron Lewis and E.J. Biggers that they like a lot, but they're young guys and unproven. So I thought they needed someone to really solidify things there, and they didn't make that move, and they haven't really made any moves. And they were expected to be one of the most active teams because, as you mentioned, how far under the salary cap they are.
Yeah, and actually, Rondé Barber, you're right, he's not getting younger, he's getting much older.
Much older. The Dolphins made some interesting moves, guys.
Yeah, we can laugh at the Dolphins now, I guess. That's where we're going now.
They signed Reggie Bush to a contract. They signed Matt Moore to whatever reason. They did sign Kevin Burnett. They got rid of Shannon Crowder. They replaced him with Nick Barnett. Defensive moves, I thought, were pretty good. Offensively, though, still many questions. Would you guys say? What you thought?
Yeah, Nick Barnett is a guy that if he's going to be healthy, which is a big question, obviously, I think he's a big upgrade over Channing Crowder. I've always liked Nick Barnett a lot. So that is good for them. I think offensively, though, it's still maybe a wait and see. Will they make a trade for Kyle Orton? I think that's really 50-50 right now. John Fox is in there. I heard Chris Mortensen this morning talking about, John Fox is sitting in there weighing his options. Tim Tebow's struggling right now in the early stages of things. And, he wants to see Kyle Orton maybe stay around there. I don't know what they're going to do. I think it's a good chance they're probably going to let Chad Henne play this out again, and we'll see what we get.
Yeah.
And then Reggie Bush, the move's kind of curious to me because you're basically committing major carries and major, time to a guy that's never had that in the NFL, and most people just don't think that his game is suited for that kind of role.
And you have the rookie Daniel Thomas, who they drafted out of Kansas State. Completely different backfield than Ricky and Ronnie. That might have been they might have dropped off there. Andrew, what do you think?
Maybe. Ricky Williams again was getting older. Ronnie Brown's been banged up pretty much his whole career. Dating back to college at times. I don't think it's terrible what they've done. Daniel Thomas has a lot of potential, a young guy, and Reggie Bush, if you take him for what he is, if you don't look at him as the number 2 pick, if you take him as a third down back, a guy who can catch a lot of passes, and a return man, he's not a bad player. I mean, this is a nice
what they're
player.
doing, though. From all indications, they want to make him the feature guy there.
Well, if they make him the feature guy, they're making a big mistake. But if you take him for what he is, he's still a very nice player. What they did on defense with Kevin Burnett, I like that a lot. That's a good player there. Channing Crowder was, with his mouth and his
with Burnett,
production lacking.
You got Burnett and Cameron Wake now outside can get you some pass rush.
Yeah.
I think that'll be an upgrade.
Cameron Wake, probably one of the more underrated players in the league. I don't think they've done enough to, catch New England and the Jets in that division, especially with what those teams are doing. Jets bringing back Santonio Holmes. We have, I don't know if it's breaking news, but this morning we saw Plaxico Burress going to the Jets. Heard Giants and Steelers all weekend, wound up going to the Jets, said it was all about Rex Ryan.
But once Eli Manning kind of dissed him, didn't one bother to talk to him. He wasn't going to the Giants. The Jets, I think that's a good fit for him. I mean, they're kind of,
and that's better than what we were hearing for the Jets, which was Randy Moss. I think most people would think that Burris probably can give a little more than Moss would at this point.
Yeah, and it's a much cheaper alternative to what they would have had to have signed Braylon Edwards to had they kept him. So it's a good move for them if you look at it that way.
That's very true. Then you got other moves of note. Mike Sims Walker goes to St. Louis. You have Seattle going Tavares Jackson.
Matt Leinart getting the whole band back together.
You got Sidney Rice signing there, a big contract.
You know what that reminds me of, that Matt Leinart signing? It reminds me of when Steve Spurrier was the head coach of the Redskins, and he brings in Danny Wolford.
Shane Matthews.
He brings in all these former Gator quarterbacks because he says, well, they won for me at Florida, I can, and it didn't work out. So I think that you're seeing a similar thing right now with Pete Carroll saying, well, Matt Leinart, at USC did this and that, and at the end of the day, I mean, Matt Leinart's done nothing in the NFL, so it's interesting what he's trying to do up there in the Pacific Northwest.
Strange team with quarterbacks after they go and, I don't know about break the bank, but give Charlie Whitehurst, who'd never even played a game, a nice little contract, shouldn't say little, last season. Now they're going with Tavares Jackson, Charlie Whitehurst, Sidney Rice, good player. I mean, a nice move there, very good player. A little surprised he decided to not stay in Minnesota, opted for Seattle. But I'm not exactly sure what they're doing. I mean, you got a team that won that division last year.
You 7-9 record.
Yeah, but you think maybe you just bring Matt Hasselbeck back, you get him Sidney Rice, you show some improvement there, maybe you're 8-8, maybe you're 9-7, you at least win that division again. If you're going to rebuild at the position, then I don't...
Yeah, I would have brought Matt Hasselbeck back. I think that was probably the smarter move for them.
If you're looking to rebuild, or even try to save Tavares Jackson's career, I'm not sure if giving Sidney Rice that big contract in the prime of his career is the right move to make for a team like that. Had they kept Matt Hasselbeck, I think it would have made a lot more sense.
Donovan McNabb to Minnesota, does that get anybody excited?
No.
No? Done? Finito?
Looked like it last year, that's for sure. When we had Rex Grossman come in and outplay him at times at the end of the year, they had to do something.
All you need to know is that the Washington Redskins would rather go with John Beck at quarterback than Donovan McNabb.
Don't forget Sexy Rexy.
And Rex Grossman, but John Beck, the pride of Mike Shanahan's eyes.
We should have Jason talk about his beloved Redskins, which I'm sure he's so...
I don't think he wants to do that at all.
But certainly the NFL, preseason gets going in a couple of weeks. And certainly any other moves you expect to, are you still waiting on, or is it all the main guys seem to be gone at this point? I mean, is there anybody kind of out there still that could be had that you think would be interesting? Obviously, Ronnie Brown, for example, is looking for work. Ricky Williams.
I mean, there's a lot of guys right now. I don't think we realize how many guys just are sort of there, moving pieces right now. There's still a lot of work, I think, to get done until rosters are finalized. People might laugh, but I think a move that I'm looking for to see what happens is Braylon Edwards. I mean, because I think this guy can still make big plays at times. And so who's going to pull him in? There's some teams right now that are sort of, have a problem at receiver, and I think they could bring him in and he could at least provide some sort of target for whatever quarterback's in place.
Yeah, with Antonio Cromartie, probably one of the biggest names left. I assume the Jets are going to bring him back without getting Nnamdi. They got a nice little discount at receiver, so I assume they're going to bring him back, but who knows. Steve Smith of the Giants is still out there, developed into a pretty nice player before his injury. Matt Roth, a good pass rusher from Cleveland, be a good fit, obviously, with a 3-4 team. So there's some really good players out there.
Still inside,
Ahmad Bradshaw's still out there, an excellent year.
Make sure your Giants sign him. I got to keep him in my fantasy league, all right? Let's go.
I like Ahmad Bradshaw, but he's replaceable. He's definitely replaceable.
He's replaceable, certainly. Not sure if there's anyone on the market they can replace him with now. So they'll probably...
BJ Ware, baby.
I'm assuming they'll opt to bring him back.
Unbelievable. You better sign him. I'm keeping him in my fantasy league. Help me win a fantasy title last year. That's all I care about.
Lopez, you brought up Mike Sims Walker. We saw what rookie Sam Bradford did with 3 wide receivers on IR. None of whom were really that good anyway.
I like that move.
And you get him back to get Donnie Avery healthy.
I wanted Mike Sims Walker in Tampa, former UCF guy. I was being very selfish, but you know what? He went to St. Louis, and I think he's going to be extremely productive there because who else do they have? Like you said, and Sam Bradford.
Excellent with nothing last year, pretty much.
Kevin Cobb, quick to Arizona. You like the move? Hate the move?
I don't like the money.
I do, yeah. They did overpay for him, but they needed to do something there, and that's a team that right now can go and capitalize off of him. And you know, we talked about that division here with Seattle. I mean, they could go and win that thing right away.
Yeah, won it a couple times with Kurt Warner at quarterback.
All right. So we'll have more NFL throughout, as we'll have the home of Sunday night and Monday Night Football here on 1080 The Team. All right, when we come back, Carson, we got a big interview, don't you? You got a big interview coming up, don't you?
The veteran voice of the Octagon, Mr. Bruce Buffer. We're going to preview the upcoming UFC card, talk a little MMA with Bruce Buffer.
That's next. You're listening to ESPN1080.com Insider Show on ESPN 1080 The Team.
Just to try to get in the shot that will finish things in.
Oh, the uppercut.
What an uppercut by Douglas, and down goes Tyson.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's over. It's over.
Mike Tyson has been knocked out.
Unbelievable.
ESPN 1080, The Team.
Find your magic at Macy's Home Sale, where you'll find hundreds of items for your home on sale now. Vail Collection pillows and comforters by Charter Club, 60% off. Closeout Analon 10-piece cookware sets, $199.99. Save 50% on Samsonite, Delsey, Travel Pro, and Ricardo luggage. And 40% on all Charter Club Demas sheet sets. Plus, get an extra 15% off with your WOW Savings Pass or Macy's Star Rewards card. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply. See store for details.
Imagine all the possibilities for your next painting project. Now imagine saving up to 30% too. From August 28th through September 1st, save at your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams paint store. Save up to 30% on exceptional Sherwin-Williams paints, stains, wall coverings, and more. But don't wait. Hurry in and save. Only at Sherwin-Williams. For painting, decorating, and great savings. For a store near you, visit SherwinWilliams.com. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
If you play golf, we hope you're planning to play in the fourth of our 4 two-person golf scrambles this year at beautiful Shingle Creek Golf Club. The 2011 ESPN 1080 The Team Shingle Creek Major 4. Monday, August 15th, a handicapped event for the coveted Rosen Cup. The $69 entry fee includes range balls, golf, on-course drinks, lunch, and a chance to win some great prizes. Monday, August 15th, 8:30 shotgun start. Get details online at ESPN1080.com.
Want to get away but don't have a lot of time and don't want to spend a lot of money? You can't beat our staycation packages. Some of the best hotels and resorts in Florida at half price. Half price. This radio station has secured these incredible half-price deals at some of the most desirable locations, from the beaches to the Orlando theme parks. Now, you can afford that getaway you want and need. Getaway! Book your half-price staycation. Log on to ESPN1080.com. ESPN1080.com.
It's the Leaderboard, Mondays 6 to 8 on ESPN 1080 WHOO. This is where the pros come to talk.
Hi, this is Bo Weekly. Hi, this is Jim Furyk.
Hi, this is Rocco Mediate.
Hi, this is Trevor Immelman.
Hi, this is Zach Johnson.
Hi, this is Woody Austin.
Where the pros come to talk about their game. Live from Celebration Town Tavern.
Hi, this is Corey Pavin, the 2010 Ryder Cup captain. Listen to the Leaderboard, Monday evenings, 6 to 8 p.m., right here on ESPN.
Presented by Carl Black Chevrolet Buick GMC.
Here on ESPN 1080.com Insider Show, Carson Ingle. Behind the glass is my producer Brian Wininger, and we call this guy our MMA expert, but the man we're about to bring on and have on the line might have you beat in that category.
I think so.
The veteran voice of the Octagon and host of It's Time on the Sure Dog Radio Network, Bruce Buffer. How you doing today, Bruce?
Hi, fine, Carson. How are you? Hi, Brian.
Good.
You guys could be far more experts than me. I just probably have more years, and I'm just an old guy. So what can I say?
Well, we'd love to get into talking some of the nuts and bolts about what's going on in the UFC right now. Over the past year, there've been a couple big pay-per-views. It just seems like the momentum of this sport and of the UFC is growing. How have you felt about the growth of the UFC in the past year?
Well, I've been working with the UFC now for about 17 years. I've been in the Octagon for right around 15 years, and I always knew from the beginning that it was going to be one of the biggest things ever to happen in sports, considering it only was created in the United States in '93, and now it's already entered mainstream popularity to a very large extent and growing from there to an even huger extent, as we all know. But it's just been incredible. It's been an incredible ride, and I got to give tremendous credit to the whole UFC team, which is like one big locomotive running uphill with Dana White and Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta and in the engine car, steering us the right direction and guiding us and breaking down barriers for everybody in the sport of MMA, even outside the UFC. And I've got a first-class seat and a glass of champagne, and I'm enjoying the ride. That's all I can tell you.
Talking about some of the current news, Tito Ortiz slated to fight against Rashad Evans in the upcoming card on August 6th. I mean, this is a big step up for Tito, and I guess he's got nothing to lose at this point, coming off of his first win since 2006.
Well, this is very interesting how this has all panned out, because when you really got to take into consideration and respect the fact that Tito Ortiz, I don't consider Tito Ortiz to be a legend in the sport yet, or a living legend like Randy Couture. I think when he retires, he reaches that status. I was just talking about this on my radio show this week. But he was the poster boy for the UFC and the sport of MMA for at least a solid 3 to 4 years, back when, especially when Zuffa had taken over the UFC, when Dana took over the show. And he's had his ups and downs. We've all been entertained and not entertained, or whatever the case might be. We've got a lot of people out there that love to see Tito win. You've got a lot of people out there that love to see Tito lose, which creates a huge fan base. And his win over Ryan Bader was so decisive the other week, and it was actually the biggest one that was surprised was probably Tito out of everybody. And here he comes in as a 6-1, 5-1 underdog, wins a decisive match against an extremely capable, strong, and powerful opponent in Bader. And now he steps out and he says, okay, there's an opening here. They call him to give him a shot. He says, I'll step up. I'll fight Rashad Evans, which is a very rough fight for Tito. And we're talking about the warrior spirit. If it left or it kind of like subsided a little bit, but Tito's back with more warrior spirit than ever, and it creates a lot of entertainment value for everybody, including myself.
Talking to the veteran voice of the Octagon, Bruce Buffer, on ESPN 1080 The Team.
Bruce, hey, we touched upon this earlier, but talk a little bit about the dynamic that you yourself, Rogan, Goldberg, I mean, even like Herb Dean and Ariane Celeste, like when people tune in and watch the UFC, they know everyone involved. And talk to us a little bit about the importance of like the production value of a live UFC event.
Well, this represents what this falls around is the subject of marketing and branding. Okay, as a matter of fact, coincidentally, in 2 weeks, I'm giving a 3-day marketing and branding seminar, an intensive workshop here in LA. That companies are actually paying a substantial sum of money to spend 3 days with me, and I'm going to analyze their companies and help them, with their branding and their marketing. And this all falls into what you're asking here about the UFC. One of the things that's very key here, and you can take something as simplistic, and I don't mean this disrespectfully when I say that, but ring girls have always been a staple for fights.
Right.
And the usual thing is to run out to the local, in small productions, they run out to the local strip joints or Hooters, and they grab some girls, that want to put on a bikini or whatever outfit and, walk around for a couple $100. And in Vegas, usually, and I remember the days in boxing, we had these grandiose, amazing-looking showgirls that really dressed up the ring. What the UFC has done is something that I've not seen done anywhere except in the world of wrestling, is where that they'll take and they'll brand people to their event, which is very smart marketing.
Oh, totally.
So, and Ariane now for 4 or 5 years, I think it's been, and this is not a long, naturally ring girls are not a long profession, okay? There's a certain window of opportunity there. But the UFC has really put a lot of effort, and Ariane has supported that with her, with her beauty and her personality, and she's become endeared to the fans, and this is great. So now you're going to see Ariane and whomever else, whether it's Shandella, and of course Brittany's been working with us recently, Then you go into me as the Octagon announcer, to have the same announcer, and you got Herb Dean, doing tons of main events, and aside from John McCarthy, definitely the best referee in the business. And that's where it's really cool. Now, you might wonder when you look at another show, such as Strikeforce, and you see Herb walk out and stuff like that might cause some confusion, but people have to realize that Herb is not hired by the UFC.
Exactly.
Herb is hired by the commission. There's a difference.
Yes.
Ariani and I, we work for Zupa. We work for the UFC. It's brilliant marketing, and that's what generates, video game familiarity, the action figures from Round 5 and Jack Specifics and the Topps cards and all. Everybody's supporting everybody. It's one really amazingly well-oiled machine of a team, right down to the minute of production. And this is all because of Dana and the Fertittas are managing and running this business correctly.
Right. I mean,
I had my hat gloves off. When I walk by them, I actually want to bow because
Me
if
too,
it
if I
wasn't
were-
for them, you and I would not be talking right now.
No, exactly. And I mean, didn't they even talk to a course at Harvard Business about the UFC?
I wouldn't doubt it because I know that, like with my work in branding and trademarking the "Let's Get Ready to Rumble" phrase, that was created by my brother Michael Buffer, the great boxing announcer,
Sure.
of all time, in my opinion. Basically, when we reached hundreds of millions of sales off licensing and branding on that, they started studying us in 2 universities in trademark law, and they brought up the fact how we trademarked that and how I marketed it and all that kind of stuff. So, colleges and universities will follow success formulas because that's the whole point. When you're in college, you learn a lot of knowledge, but you don't learn application until you leave college. So you have to study the people that have been successful and how they've applied it so you can work those same principles when you finally hit the street. And, that's just smart. That's smart business on the college part.
So let's talk a little bit about this UFC 133 card. With Joe Silva, in my mind, has his work cut out for him, but he's somehow, like he always does, puts together a great main event without skipping a beat. Okay, this Rashad Tito fight, I like it because they're both great wrestlers, and I feel like they both do things opposite when it comes to standing on their feet and trading. I feel like Rashad Evans knocks people out, and at the same time, Tito's never been knocked out. And at the same time, Tito doesn't really put people out, and then Rashad has, sometimes a suspect chin. Can you break down that fight for us?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you've got a dome like Tito, it's really hard to begin with. So
he's a brute, man. He's amazing.
And, Tito's got that big jaw. I mean, Tito, if you're a fighter, you would want to have a head like Tito Ortiz. I mean, it's built to take a punch.
How big is it? Is it a watermelon size? How big is it? You've seen it in person.
Well, it's not watermelon. You got to realize it's a big boy. I mean, Tito's, 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
He walks around probably at 230, and, he's a big man. He's a big man with, put it this way, I'd rather have a head that's a little bigger than have a peanut head on a big body, So, with that being said, you got Rashad coming out. They're both, fantastic wrestlers. Size-wise, Tito's going to seem so much bigger than Rashad coming out. The better striker up to date has been Rashad. Tito's defense against strikes is really good. He knows how to rotate his elbows in a Muay Thai way and his forearms and really protect his head. As best he can. He's going to get hit. Everybody's going to get hit.
Yeah.
So if it goes to the ground, Tito is like in a resurgence now. These operations he's had, his strength factor, his conditioning, the whole 9 yards, he's really in peak shape right now. It's almost like he's, trying to break into his prime again. How long that will last, it's all about father time. But I think he's going to come out mentally, he's better than he's ever been, and he's going to come out really strong. Rashad is a very tough fight for Tito, and I think Tito in the state that he's in now is a very tough fight for Rashad. And I can't really pick a winner. I can just say that the edge for striking goes to Rashad. The wrestling is going to be equal, but I'm going to give the edge to Tito. And let's see what their game plans are coming out. We're all going to know in the first 2 minutes where it's going to go.
And that was the interview with Bruce Buffer that we recorded earlier in the week. More of that interview will be on ESPN1080.com this week in preparation for the upcoming UFC. Well, we got the guys out. We're going to bring them back in. We were going to talk more UFC, but Brian Wininger took his talents to South Beach, and, no word from him yet. So we'll bring the guys back in. Final segment, college football. You're listening to ESPN 1080 Insider Show on ESPN1080.com.
This is where great moments happen.
Going to be fielded by Lorenzo Neal at the 25. Pitches it back to Wycheck. He throws it across the field to Dyson. He's got something. 30, He's got 40, something. 50. He's got it. 40, He's got it. 20. 10. He's got it. End zone. Touchdown Titans. There are no flags on the field. It's a miracle. Tennessee has pulled a miracle.
ESPN 1080, The Team.
Find your magic at Macy's Home Sale, where you'll find hundreds of items for your home on sale now. Vail Collection pillows and comforters by Charter Club, 60% off. Closeout Analon 10-piece cookware sets, $199.99. Save 50% on Samsonite, Delsey, Travel Pro, and Ricardo luggage. And 40% on all Charter Club Damask sheet sets. Plus, get an extra 15% off with your WOW Savings Pass or Macy's Star Rewards card. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply. See store for details.
Imagine all the possibilities for your next painting project. Now imagine saving up to 30% too. From August 28th through September 1st, save at your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams paint store. Save up to 30% on exceptional Sherwin-Williams paints, stains, wall coverings, and more. But don't wait. Hurry in and save. Only at Sherwin-Williams. For painting, decorating, and great savings. For a store near you, visit SherwinWilliams.com. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
If you play golf, we hope you're planning to play in the fourth of our 4 two-person golf scrambles this year at beautiful Shingle Creek Golf Club. The 2011 ESPN 1080 The Team Shingle Creek Major 4. Monday, August 15th, a handicapped event for the coveted Rosen Cup. The $69 entry fee includes range balls, golf, on-course drinks, lunch, and a chance to win some great prizes. Monday, August 15th, 8:30 shotgun start. Get details online at ESPN1080.com.
Want to get away but don't have a lot of time and don't want to spend a lot of money? You can't beat our staycation packages. Some of the best hotels and resorts in Florida at half price. Half price. This radio station has secured these incredible half-price deals at some of the most desirable locations, from the beaches to the Orlando theme parks. Now, you can't afford that getaway you want and need. Getaway! Book your half-price staycation. Log on to ESPN1080.com. ESPN1080.com.
It's the Leaderboard, Mondays 6 to 8 on ESPN 1080 WHOO. This is where the pros come to talk.
Hi, this is Bo Weekly. Hi, this is Jim Furyk.
Hi, this is Rocco Mediate.
Hi, this is Trevor Immelman.
Hi, this is Zach Johnson.
Hi, this is Woody Austin.
Where the pros come to talk about their game. Live from Celebration Town Tavern.
Hi, this is Corey Pavin, the 2010 Ryder Cup captain. Listen to the Leaderboard, Monday evenings, 6 to 8 p.m., right here on ESPN.
Presented by Carl Black Chevrolet Buick GMC.
And we welcome you back to ESPN1080.com Insider Show on ESPN 1080 The Team. Eric Lopez, your Night Insider and Magic Insider, alongside Andrew Melnick, your Magic Insider. Carson Ingle, your UCF Insider. Buckman is our fine producer, making his debut on his solo debut. Guys, doing a good job, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Winner who, right? Winner who, right?
It's quality good.
Quality good. That's a good name. Couple of quick notes for the station this week. On Tuck and O'Neill on Monday, Jameel Weeks will be on the show. Oakland A's second baseman, rookie. Solid rookie, guys.
Is it Jameel or Jamile?
Maybe it's Jamile.
Tomato.
Yeah, that's what I think.
He played for Miami. We'll just go with that.
Yeah, let's go with that. And then Wednesday on Tuck and O'Neill, myself and Master Andrew Melnick will be taking over that show, huh? We're gonna teach Jerry.
Taking over? I don't know if I'd say that. We'll be on it.
We'll be on that show. Then next Sunday on this show, big show, guys, UCF football preview. We're going to have sound bites from Media Day from UCF. We'll probably have Jeff Gottfried clips. Will we have the patch?
Are we going to unite and get the patch?
No, but we will hold hands in the studio.
Yes. I was waiting for that.
We're going to hold
I'm
hands.
glad I don't have to take part in that.
I've gotten the patch. I've already united.
You know, you work over there. You could get us a patch, right?
I'll see what I can do for you.
Yeah, let's make that happen. Let's get that happen. So UCF football preview. We're going to convert Melnick into a Seminole Night fan.
A Seminole Night?
Yes.
That's what George talked about.
Yeah,
he wants that from you.
Really
what
doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, George.
No,
it doesn't. But that's will be next Sunday, and we will debut our top 25 insiders poll.
Yeah, we've got Carson, myself, Eric's top 25. We're going to combine them. Going to throw in Charlie Bernstein, who'll be joining our insider team, his top 25. And
breaking news right there.
I'll throw that together this week. We'll start unveiling it next week.
top 25. The first poll comes out. I believe the AP poll comes out next week.
I think it does, yes.
Let's get into it. So we're going to break down every state team next month here in August.
Sure.
Let's go through some storylines, your thoughts on the Big Four, and we don't count that other program in Tampa or whatever, that wasteland over there.
I think right now, we look at Florida, and you're looking right off the bat at a situation that I think they have a chance to get marketably better this year with the Charlie Weiss, John Brantley, combination. I think that has a chance to be successful. I think that anything, with Weiss there crafting and molding quarterbacks, we saw what he did with Brady Quinn at Notre Dame. So I think that speaks for itself. And I think the Gators, that's what to look. The John Brantley, how does he come along in his senior year? Is he going to put up one big final season for Florida?
Yeah, I think the big storyline for them is that stretch they have in the middle of the season when they're playing Alabama, LSU, Auburn, Georgia.
Yeah.
That's 4 games in a row. You could be looking realistically, you throw in they got Florida State as well at the end of the year. And South Carolina 2 weeks before that. So you're looking at a team who could be very good. We know they're very talented based on, the excellent recruiting classes they brought in. You could be looking at a really good team that loses a bunch of games just because they play their 16.
Their numbers are a little down. Talented, I think they only have 72 on the roster.
That's a big criticism.
And so injuries could play a factor too there.
Miami also has a new head coach, Al Golden. What's the big storyline there that you're looking in?
Miami, again, we're talking about another veteran quarterback, and what will he do in Ja'Cory Harris? Will he be the Ja'Cory Harris that people saw at one point and said, wow, he was an early Heisman contender a few years back? Or is he going to be the Ja'Cory Harris that we saw more of last year when he was replaced and put on the bench? Al Golden, I think, is the big talk down there. People have been very positive. Obviously not a big, flashy hire when he was brought in there, but people seem to think that he's the guy that can get it done and bring those guys back to where they are. I'm not so sure about that, but Al Golden's the guy to watch, obviously, in Miami.
Yeah, and there's talent there. And they were having an okay season. They played tight with Ohio State. Lost that upset to Virginia when Ja'Cory Harris got hurt and Stephen Morris started playing. And the end of the year was just brutal. They lost to Virginia Tech, lost at home to South Florida. I know we're not supposed to mention them, but we had to throw that in. And then just got destroyed by Notre Dame in the bowl games. That's a team that just had a terrible ending. It looks like Ja'Cory Harris is still the starter. Al Golden keeps saying that Stephen Morris has a chance. That's a team, they're good up front. They bring back a very good offensive line, and they've got a boatload of running backs.
Lamar Miller seem to have that,
Lamar Miller probably the best one. So that's a team that could be dangerous. They have an okay draw. They're going to have to go to Virginia Tech, though. They're going to play North Carolina, of course, firing Butch Davis. Who knows what that's going to look like, but they'll be on the road there, and they'll be at Florida State. So that's arguably their 3 toughest games in conference all on the road.
You mentioned Florida State, Jimbo Fisher, second year. Lot of high expectations, Andrew. Is it justified? Is the expectations too high?
A little too high, probably, when you're talking top 5 national championship. I'm not sure if I'd go that far. But once they play Oklahoma, number 1 team, everyone's number 1 pretty much in all the preseason polls we've seen. Although there's some discrepancies here. We don't all have them number 1. But after that, the schedule sets up pretty well, so I think that might be where the expectations come from. If you get past that game, which obviously much easier said than done, then you're looking at, then you've got a chance. You're looking at, a weak ACC probably again. You got Miami at home. You're at Florida, but, if they're still down, who knows? It's only a 2-hour road trip, of course, although, I'm sure the fans will be rowdy like they always are there. The schedule doesn't set up too badly. You get Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Miami, someone like that in the championship game. Those are teams that have a lot to replace. So I think that's where the expectations are coming from, that the schedule could set up very nicely for them.
Carson, your thoughts on Florida State?
This could be the biggest year, and Andrew, being an alum, this could be the biggest year in many years, I think, for the Seminoles.
Weren't too many big years while I was there.
No, it's been a long time, and I think finally they're starting to get that feel around Tallahassee. Jimbo Fisher's been able to instill himself as the guy now for a couple years. He's there now as that presence, and that's huge for them. I think that Thanksgiving game that me and Eric and yourself are probably all going to be at versus Florida is just going to have the feel of an old-time FSU-Florida game, which is going to be really exciting because I've never been to a game for either school. So I'm looking forward to that and looking forward to seeing if Florida State's able to regain a little bit of that momentum and the mojo that they had in the 90s.
I think, first place to start with them is winning the conference. I mean, I think that should be the realistic expectation. They have the most talented team in the conference. I think that's where you start. You beat Oklahoma, then maybe you can start talking about other things.
Absolutely. Of course, this is your home for Florida State football. Every FSU game will be heard here on ESPN 1080 starting September 3rd when FSU hosts Louisiana Monroe. Gene Deckerhoff on this station. Doesn't get any better than that. Jimbo Fisher's show will also be on this station. You can also hear Miami Hurricane games, including the Al Golden debut against Maryland on that Monday night.
Yeah,
Labor Day night.
That'll be Labor Day game.
That'll also be here on 1080. So keep it here on this show. Starting next week, we'll have our UCF football preview. We'll also have a week following that. We'll have Florida. We'll have a Florida State preview. We'll have Miami preview.
Always making sure that we don't talk about USF, though.
Who?
Yeah, them. There was a kid, real quick, at the celebrity mascot games yesterday.
You went to the mascot
games. His name was Carson, and they interviewed him, and he was wearing a Matt Grothe jersey. I was like, I got to go up and talk to this kid and have a Carson connection. If I was in range, I may have, although he was a child, and I could have probably gotten in a lot of trouble for that. But
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Quick word on USF, though, if you do want to keep them interesting. They start the year at Notre Dame, so they will be talked about.
The Holtz brothers. All right, we'll get the Holtz, Lou Holtz's kid, Skip Holtz against Notre Dame. That'll be good. All right, so that will do it for here on ESPN 1080.com Insider Show on the team. Quick prediction, guys. Heath Bell's going where?
I think the Yankees are going to make a move.
St. Louis.
Yankees. All right, we're out of here. Thanks, Buffett, for the show. We'll see you next Sunday on 1080 The Team.